Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Getting back to work on the AR-V in this video. Gonna start with the, this one is gonna be going over, disassembling the lower in preparation for doing some cleanup on the parts. But before I do that, I just kind of wanted to show you some of the things that are gonna be future additions. I was waiting for these to arrive when I did the initial intro video, and here you go. Since this does not come with any optic or sights from the factory, but it does have the Picatinny rail, I went ahead and I got the Magpul front and rear sights. These are the pop-up fold down sights. I went with those just because it kind of matches. It's got the Magpul grip. And then I also went ahead and got a Gideon Mediator 2 red dot, which will be going up top, and should make for a very nice combo as far as the sights go on the rifles. So I'm going to get those moved out of the way. Next step is going to be to pop the top off the lower, and that's really just going to be pushing the two pins through, so I can go ahead and just remove the top directly off the lower, and I'll come back once that is done. All right, here you can see two halves are separated, pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead, get the upper out of the way, and then as far as the lower goes, I need to grab a block so I can go ahead and set this down and start popping out the pins for the trigger mechanism, and then I will pop the pins and remove some of the other parts that I want to go ahead and clean up. All right, so we're going to start with this pin here. That's the hammer pin. I'm going to use an 1/8 inch punch, as you can see there. Go ahead, drive it all the way through. It's on top of a armorer's block, so the pin can pop out through the block, and then this will hold the hammer in place, and then I'll walk you through removing it once the pin is out. All right, you can see the pin is out right there, and the punch is currently holding the hammer in place. So what you'll do is grab the punch and then grab the hammer with another hand and just kind of put a little downward pressure on it, pull the punch out, and then slowly release the hammer, walk it out so that way things don't go flying, because there is a spring in there and that hammer is under tension with that spring. All right, and there you can see the hammer and the spring and the pin removed. Next up is going to be to do similar with the trigger pin. So same thing, use the punch, push that through, let it hold everything in place, and then I will come back once the pin is removed. All right, you can see the punch holding the trigger in place, pin is popped out right there. So next thing you want to do is slowly pull the punch out, but you want to hold the disconnector here so it does not go flying, because if you do not retain it, it's going to fly across the room because there's a spring below it holding it in place. So you'll, like I said, pull the punch out while holding the disconnector so it doesn't go flying. All right, punches out, everything's still in there, so now you can grab the trigger from the bottom and just walk it out the top. Again, just don't lose the disconnector and spring, because those are not affixed to the trigger. The spring is part of the trigger assembly, or the main trigger spring is part of the assembly. All right, and there you can see the trigger spring, disconnector, and disconnector spring all removed from the lower. Housing's all nice and empty now. So next, I want to pull out the ejector, and then I'm probably going to remove this ramp because it'll make it easier to polish as well. So let me grab a punch and pop out the pins for the ejector. All right, and you can see the ejector and pins are removed. Those were a 3 30-second roll pin punch, took care of the job with those. All right, so the ramp extension is 2 Allen keys, and they're a really tiny bit. I grabbed one that seemed to fit, but they're in there tight, and I think they're Loctited. And that is something that I can go ahead and polish while it's still on the rifle. I can just be careful. So I'm going to leave that as is. I don't want to risk stripping out the bolts or anything if I don't have to. The last thing I need to remove is the slide lock, or the bolt lock actually for this. And it is a 5/64 Allen key that fits in here to loosen the bolt that holds this onto the actual mechanism. So I'm going to go ahead and get that removed and start taking this apart. All right, and it's actually not a bolt, it's a set screw that you can see here on the end of my Allen key. And here is the slide lock itself, and you can see where it's notched, where that set screw bites into it, and then this is what slides up and down. So I can go ahead and do some polish work on this and just clean it up so it slides nicely in the frame itself, which you can see there where it sits and everything that it rides in. The last thing is going to be to remove the buffer and buffer spring. So you just push down on that little detent, and it should pop out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. All right, well, there you can see the buffer and spring are removed. Pretty straightforward. And that is as far as I'm going to go with this. So that's everything I wanted to remove as far as functional items that I was going to do a little polish and cleanup work and make sure that everything is, as needed. The only thing that's really left in here is the safety selector, which really don't need to mess with that at all. That's not going to impact anything. And like I said, I'll just go ahead and polish this ramp while it's mounted in the frame, as well as maybe do a little cleanup work on just some of the areas where things rub or move against or whatnot in the frame assembly itself. So that being said, next video we'll be starting on doing the polish work. And if you're interested in following along and seeing how it turns out, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I do review them. I will reply. I do have a second YouTube channel devoted to automotive stuff. There's a link in the description of this video if that's something you're interested in. Please check it out. I also have a Rumble channel where I'm posting my firearm related content. If you're interested in checking that out or you're on Rumble, I'd appreciate it if you go over and like my page. Link in the description as well. That being said, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.